How you go? Excuse me. Long morning. Long morning. How you all doing? Welcome back to another episode of God Concept. I'm your host, Mr. Pagan. It's a constant struggle, man, every fucking day. It's a constant fucking struggle. Especially when you're not, you know what I mean? You're not reciprocated properly. When shit just not. I'm still going to do my job. I'm still going to deliver this content. You know. I hope you all doing well. I hope you all are in a good space, in a good place. You know, I hope you all are thinking positively. You know what I mean? Because at a point, all we can control is our actions and deeds and our thoughts and emotions. But even those can be tampered with. So you got to make sure that you align yourself with what's right for you, what's right in your life, what's right in your character, in your personality. You know what I mean? You got to do what's right by you at all costs. At times it's very hard. You know, the adversity, the obstacles, the hate, the spiritual hate. Some people just got bad spirits, man. Some people just got horrible spirits. You know what I mean? I wish I had known years ago what I know now. Because some people just got bad spirits. Some people are just ignorant. They just don't understand nothing. They don't have any type of understanding in their soul or in their body for the concept of anything that you're doing. You know what I mean? They don't understand the concept or even give a fuck about whatever it is you're doing. All of that leading into, you know, this discussion right here. About soulmates, the Knights of Templar, the Baphomet. What do these things mean? Soulmates, Baphomet, Knights of the Templar. What are all these things connected to? What is all going on? Well, we could say that we're going to start at the Baphomet. The Baphomet, a lot of people, they attribute demonic energy to, say it's satanic and things like that. But in fact, the Baphomet is tied and attached to all your religious beliefs, every religious religion, any religious set you're a part of. They have this figure, the Baphomet. Even in Washington D.C., they got places in Washington D.C. that pays tribute to this Baphomet figure. They have places inside I believe, I haven't seen it with my own eyes, but I believe they do have places dedicated to the Baphomet, that statue in the Masonic halls and the Eastern Star, wherever they organize and have their meetings. I believe that. Of course, the Knights of Templar, wherever they hold their meetings at and things like that, they would have figures like this, and they would have discussions about these things, you know, amongst initiates, because the ones that's been there for a long time, they know what the Baphomet is, they know what it's about, they hold the secrets. They hold a lot of secrets that's involved with the Baphomet. You know, a lot of ancient powers that's uh, 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 attributed to the Baphomet. You got to get out of spookism. First of all, I heard Bobby Herman say that. But you got to get out of spookism. You got to get the scary stuff out the way, right? You got to get that out of your mind, because the Baphomet statue or symbol, right? It even has Arabic writing on the inscription of it and everything. It's tied to a bunch of religions. It uses the cross. It uses Arabic. It uses Judaism. It uses some Jewish lettering and everything. You can see it right here. Jewish lettering and everything around. It's a symbol that's accepted worldwide. Now, what is it a symbol of? It's not demonic. It's the duality of the concept of who you are. Right here, I got something written down, and it's about soulmates, and it's about Zeus. Now, Greek mythology say that Zeus was not afraid. I don't want to say afraid, but he was worried about the potential power of what what beings we were when we got here at first. This, according to this, it says that when we were first created, that we were created with four arms, four legs, and so on and so forth. Basically, we were double. And what Zeus did was he split us into a male and a feminine. So we would have to search for our other half, our other soulmate. It's not like he split us in half and put us right together. No, we had to actually search for our soulmate. It was something that we had to feel about one another, because you can run into somebody who's not your soulmate. They like to attribute things to twin flames and things like that. All of that is propaganda. You know what I mean? All of that is basically the greed of whatever energy's here wanting to separate and disseminate who you are spiritually. Um, so what they did was they separated us. You know what I mean? They separated two halves from each other. So you would have to acquire and look for and gain knowledge of who your other half was, whether that was whether that was spiritual connections. When you met this person, you felt the spiritual connection. Sometimes this can be misconstrued with emotions and things like that. But you would know it's a totally different connection when you meet a soulmate. Um, they like to say twin flames and things like this because it wasn't just Adam and Eve when they got here. Okay, it was also Samuel and Lilith is right here. See that? Samuel and Lilith was here too. So it was Adam and Eve, and it was Samuel and Lilith. But we got to remember, Lilith was the first wife of Adam until Lilith left out of the garden. Who did Lilith meet up with? Samuel, right? Right? Now, Adam, of course, got Eve. I believe that the soulmates were switched. I believe that Lilith was the Eve. Okay, Eve was Adam's. How do I say it? Okay, Adam's Eve was Lilith. So the Eve of Adam was the Eve of Adam, basically. When Adam lost his Lilith, that was his Eve. So basically, Samuel and Adam switched soulmates. This is why we have so much chaos in the world today. A lot of us attribute it to a woman eating the apple and being persuaded, and yes, that is the case in a lot of ways. But it wasn't merely just Eve biting the apple and having Adam bite the same apple as well. What it was is them two joining, them two having children. Their children, of course, are our ancestors and things like that. Samuel and Lilith also had children and things like that. But this is why you got demonic energy on this earth. This is why you have so much evil, because they try to keep soulmates apart. For what reason? I'm still doing my research. Well, I pretty much know. If you had a baby with your soulmate, it would be like a demigod. You would have a demigod. If I was to have a child with my soulmate, that child would be a demigod. Now, if this soulmate knew about me and could acquire my whereabouts, somehow infiltrate my life, come in, steal sperm, right? And then go back to whatever, whatever life they're doing, artificially inseminate a child between me and them. Basically, they would control a demi-like God. And it's the same way for all of you. It's like it's not just me, it's not just my story. All of us have soulmates. Just like Samuel was supposed to Samuel was supposed to have Eve, Adam was supposed to have Lilith. Now the thing is, the Knights of the Templar, how they tie in is because they have this knowledge. I believe they have knowledge of who each of our soulmates are. They control whether or not you have children with your soulmate, right? There goes I can't see it because it's small right here. This is Adam and Eve. And you notice the figure that's behind them. You notice that they're chained up. Adam and Eve are chained up. And this beside them is Samuel and Lilith. Hold on. No, this is Adam and Eve and this is Samuel and Lilith. I don't know. I'll look at it later. But either way, one depicts chained up. They're chained up. You can see fire at the ass of the guy because ultimately it's the guy who has to do more work into finding his soulmate. Because of course, your woman is going to be sought after and desired. Your soulmate is going to be sought after and desired by other beings, by other people, by other beings, by other entities. So that means that there was a swap that happened. Maybe Samuel didn't like Eve. So what he did was he called Lilith out of the garden, who was with Adam, took Lilith, right, for his own, and sent Eve back into the garden. So maybe Samuel and Eve had this whole thing going where they swapped up willingly. I even got a little symbol where I show an infinity sign. Infinity sign is basically an 8 sideways, right? But that infinity sign is basically 2 circles coinciding with each other, going into one another. And then once they go into each other properly, you get this little symbol in the middle. That symbol in the middle is that demigod that's being born of 2 soulmates having children. And they control this. They don't want you to have this type of knowledge. They don't want you to be in direct contact with your soulmate. So what they'll do is they'll give you 2 walks of life. They have one soulmate in a completely opposite position than you. You'll never okay, back in the day, and I mean it's still tradition now. You would have Muslims that do different cultures, right? That do arranged marriages. That say, hey, you're gonna marry this one, you're gonna marry that one. This is because they wanted to keep balance. I believe. I'm still looking into that as well. I don't want to say anything out of turn, but I know that they had arranged marriages for that reason, either to pair up soulmates or to keep soulmates from pairing up. Right now, why in Islam is it permissible for you to have multiple wives? Because some women didn't have men. Why didn't they have men? That's because of organizations like the Knights of the Templar and things like this. They would have their knowledge. They would have mass killings of men and women who didn't believe in the faith. Because remember, the Knights of the Templar was here to protect the Christian faith. But the Knights of the Templar themselves, they were agnostics. And they were stoics. They were like monk warriors and shit. The Knights of the Templar is actually around today. They're called Crusaders, Templar Crusaders. It's an image of a military thing somewhere on this collage that I made, but it's basically, them militarizing your spirit and your sperm. They militarize your spirit and your sperm. They're in charge of all the rhetoric that goes around, the grammar and things like this. Actually, I have found, I don't know if you can see it on the collage. Shit, I wish I would have did a better putting this collage together because certain things that I have to talk about is associated with photos on here. Just like right here. This is a demigod right here in the middle. This is a child born of two soulmates, right? Two people that was supposed to be joined together. Now, if you look at him, he got that helix snake on him. And if you look at any picture of the Baphomet, around his midsection, around down where his area would be, his areola, his dick and balls and all that, right? It's a sign of that, of that. They call it the medicine symbol now, but that, that's double snake that's intertwining like that. It's on the Baphomet right there. And it's the same symbol that he's holding in his hands on each side. And he has a symbol above his head, and he has wings. He has a human body. He has a penis. So this is a son born of two soulmates. And what are these people doing right here? They're almost in fear, but in fear to the point where they're lashing out at this demigod. They're lashing out at him because they don't want him to exist. Child's being born of their own soulmates, right? Children being born of their soulmates. And I can almost guarantee you that anybody walking around here in regular life, as a regular civilian, your parents are not soulmates. They might really love each other. They might have really loved each other at one point, but they're not soulmates. My children, that wasn't my soulmate I had children with. I know that because we wouldn't be at odds. Our lives wouldn't be the way it is right now if I had my soulmate. If any of us had our soulmate, our lives would be 100% better. And that's just the way it is. You know what I mean? It is the way it is because you have groups and organizations that's in control of how you get paired up. You know what I mean? They try to militarize your sperm, your spirit, your entity. They do this because they can, because they're powerful, because they have the money to do it. They are a huge group of people who really have all the influence and all the money. I was looking up on the nicest Templar, and they actually they were actually the financiers of kings and things like this all over the world. They were actually financiers of America. They knew of America before anybody else got here. I mean, the natives was here and they was doing trades and things like that with the natives. So before Benjamin Franklin or whomever came here first, and Cortez and all that, they were here first, doing dealings with people all over the world. These Knights of the Templar hold secrets to Atlantis, the land that was Atlantis that got destroyed in one of the great floods. They hold all of our secrets. They knew about John the Baptist, Mary Magdalene, and Jesus. They have the remnants of the bones of them and the children that they buried, that they fathered. Mary Magdalene had children with John the Baptist and Jesus, and all their bones are there together. I think they was doing some experiments to see what abilities that their children would turn out with, as far as John the Baptist and Jesus having children with Mary Magdalene. I think that, maybe they were doing experiments to see exactly how the children would turn out, what abilities they would have, and things of this nature. Because we all have different abilities. It's two sets of us. It's two sets of different people. But once you start crossing soulmates, once you start crossing genetics and DNA and things like that, you come up with different spiritualities, different ways of thinking, different natural abilities that all of us will have. And that's what we're dealing with today. Well, that's not what we're dealing with today. Right now, we're dealing with propaganda. America itself is nothing but propaganda. It's nothing but a game that we're playing, or they're playing with us. You know what I mean? Because all of it's controlled by something higher than ourselves. Something here, but something higher than ourselves. You know what I mean? Something that I can't call it evil, but it's a secret order going on. All your religions are tied to it and everything. I'm actually trying to remember what I was going to say for a moment. It's a deep concept. When I was looking into all this stuff, over the past 2 days since my last podcast. Um, I just been going down the rabbit hole of finding out information about the Baphomet, what that's about. The Baphomet is not a demon. That is actually a symbol of, a lot of people attribute it to transgender, being transgender. It does appear as being transgender, but it's not being transgender. I believe the Baphomet is what would happen when they combine demonic soulmates, soulmates that that are of evil. And then is another theory too, because this is duality of a concept where uh, this being is a symbol, ultimate meaning, because half is feminine and half is male, right? Masculine and feminine, and then you have the head of the goat, the head of the ram, and this head of the ram, I believe, is showing the animal nature of all of us too. We gotta transcend above that animal nature. Then you have a stem pointing up with a light over top of it. That's you allowing your consciousness to supersede whatever animalistic nature that you have. Hold on one second. Now, as far as the Knights of the Templar go, we know that that's an umbrella of its own. Because on my last podcast, I went on to talk about Masons and Eastern Stars and things of this nature. But they're under umbrella too. So things that they're allowed to do, they're only allowed to do them because they're allowed to do them by their majesty, by their magistrates, by whomever is in control of their finance, whoever they're, don't performing rituals under. So that's what that's about. That's why a lot of us can't get help with a lot of things that's going on. That's why we see good and evil mixing. That's why we see a lot of the things that's going on in this world going the way it's going. You know what I mean? They're protecting whatever they got to protect so they can stay in power. I believe that our taxes goes to the Knights of the Templar. I believe that it's a lot going on that we're not aware of in today's society. These subjects are not new by far because they've been around for eons, since the beginning, writing and holding these records and everything. And there's plenty videos that you could look at that would further explain to you what they're about. You know what I mean? What they do, what they control, how they operate, and things of this nature. Um, I'm just here giving you my synopsis on what I found out about the Baphomet. This is why, man, it's the reason why a lot of things go on. I mean, I'm having cluttered thoughts right now. To be honest with you, I'm having cluttered thoughts. It's a lot. It's a lot of mysticism, and it's a lot of magic that goes on with these things. Um, they can act. See, I want to speak on things that people aren't readily aware of, like the fact that they can control the things that you think, they can control the things that you feel, and things of that nature. And they use people. They use places, and they use things. They use us against one another. So at times when I know that I'm not having a clear, concise thought on what it is I got to say next or should say next, I know it's because I'm receiving some type of interference. I know that there's interference that goes on. Like when you have that train of thought and you know exactly what you're going to say, but you just can't get it out, it's interference. And I don't think it's divine interference. I think it's interference from whatever powers that be here. I mean, when I think of evil, when I think of tyranny, I think of these systems that don't allow us to be truly who we are. I think of these systems that hold us back. that won't give us help when they know that we clearly need help, when they can see that it's visible that something's going on, and they know something's going on and they still don't help. You know what I mean? Yeah. You know, I know for a fact that these people, these organizations, they hold secrets that we're not supposed to have. You know, I'm sure that they don't want anybody thinking about these type of topics. They don't want this on your mind. They don't want these type of things on my mind. But yet and still they'll infiltrate you. They'll steal your sperm so they could go about and perform whatever rituals that they have. They steal your sperm, and they also try to, militarize your spirit and the things that, I mean, this is evident from the CIA files. You know, when you look at Operation Stargate, I'm sure it's named something else now, but when you look back at Operation Stargate, you see that people are remote viewing different places, giving information. People are feeling certain things. People are basically using the many gifts that you have, right? Of being born of two soulmates, or even just being born a regular person. You still have these abilities because we're all chained up. We're all linked up. You know, we all have these connections to one another because we're all human. You know what I mean? And they can get information and pull information to have you tell information or have you disseminate or discern certain things. You know what I mean? They control the rhetoric, all of this stuff. America was financed by these Templars. Like I said, I have basically pictures showing that their symbol, that cross symbol, of course, that cross symbol aligns with the Christian church. That cross symbol aligned with Temple University, where I found out they actually had full classes of people going into different professions, basically for them to basically lead the way in certain professions, so they can actually mold and shape what they want your academics to be. You know, they don't want your academics to be a spiritual academic. You know, they want your academic to be something of this world. They don't want you focused on mysticisms. They don't want you focused on ancient beliefs and ancient belief systems and ancient spiritualities and ancient dualities and ways of thinking and things like that. They don't want you to have what they have. They don't want you possessing something that incapable of controlling. It's all about control. It's all about control. It's all about misinformation, propaganda, and things like that. Because you have plenty of people out here that just does what they do. You know what I mean? They just live in their everyday life. And a lot of times these people, can affect your life in a way where it'll either hurt your life or it can either be beneficial to your life. And I believe that these people aren't even acting on their own accord. These people are acting on somebody else's accord. You know, when a person is acting out of character, or when people are holding you back, or when a system is holding you back and not giving you answers, they clearly give you the answer. They clearly send you the message just by not helping you at all, not responding to you at all, not, you know what I mean? All of these things, it clearly shows you something. It clearly shows what's going on in this world, and how everything is transpiring. You know what I mean? We just got to be more aware. We got to stop. I mean, me personally, I don't know about y'all, but me personally, um, I'm gonna try to live my life differently. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a person. Yeah, I'm a male. I'm a dude. I got a raging. You know what I mean? I like porn and all that shit. You know what I mean? I love the allure of a woman and things like that. But even me, especially as being a man with a daughter, I got to get out of that. You know what I mean? I got to get more in tune with me, because that's where I could find my most peace. That's where I could build the most, when I'm being more reserved to me, and just trying to, you know what I mean, be steadfast and be who I am naturally, you know what I mean, and just keep on my journey and my path. You know, everybody don't agree with my journey or path. There's a lot of people out there that might not agree with what I'm doing. They might not agree with what I'm saying at all. They might not like me, or they might love me. But either way, I gotta be me. You know what I mean? You have to accept me for me, just like I have to accept you for you. You know what I mean? That's what it is. We're all human beings. We're all living this life. Anybody controlling any information, or any organization that's controlling people, not just information, but people, it's a bad thing. And it's all because the benefit they make off of holding certain secrets, using certain things, using your very thoughts and your essence. Because I know for a fact, for instance, the other day while I was compiling this information, I had so many thoughts on so many different levels, that I just knew that this podcast was going to turn out much better than this, right? Because I got so much information and I still have it. But where has it gone? If I still have it, but it's not there right now, that means they put up a firewall right there. They could put a firewall up in your mind. That goes to show me that we're dealing with people that's of this world, but not of this world. You know what I mean? Even when you look back at ancient Sumeria and the text over there, and the Anunnaki, you know, and things like that, when they talk about the gods Anunnaki and everything, and they show you that there was clearly multiple beings here, and how they created multiple beings and things like this, that goes to show me that they still have technology like that. They still play with these biological, you know what I mean, these biological, these physical and spiritual, and these mental um 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 realms. They still play in those realms. There is not is only something that they'll gain more knowledge at, that they'll gain more proficiency at doing to people, when they can control how you live your life, when they control whether you're going to turn out to be fat or skinny. You know, when they militarize. Why you think sperm? I seen something online. Why do you think sperm is going for so much? When you go to a sperm bank, sperm is selling for like $4,000 or some shit like that. I seen it on Instagram, where sperm was selling for like outrageous amounts of prices. And I'm like, why are they paying so much for sperm? It's because sperm is a weapon. Your seed is a weapon. All it needs is the right egg. If your sperm was to hit the right egg, right, what would be created would be different. You know what I mean? They can weaponize your spirit and your sperm and the women's eggs as well. They can weaponize all of that. You know, they masters at trickery. So, you know, when they say opposites attract, it's because of that. It's because of that right there. It's because of what was in the beginning. They're going to try to keep that same thing going, because that's what they need in order to control people, in order to not have beings born that they can't control, that they fear, that they're scared of. The creator's not scared of it, because the creator put you here to be this. The creator intended for you to be with your soulmate, to form that infinity sign, to become what the Anunnaki are, to become one of the Anunnaki. Really, that's what you're put here for. You're here to ascend to something greater than what we are right now. But if they militarize your sperm, if they militarize your spirit, if they're keeping you from forming that union with your soulmate, your children will never become this. I don't see men right now running around with wings and shit like that. You know what I mean? And if they were, trust and believe that they got them somewhere locked up in the base somewhere. They used them for all types of experiments or whatever. They put them in Marvel movies like Falcon. Think about that. That's what you would have if you were to get in a union with your soulmate, your real soulmate that you know for 100% without a doubt that that's your soulmate. You would have children with greater abilities than everybody else. That would cause a problem. That would cause a problem in the state of how they're doing things. God forbid that child was evil or had evil intentions. Then that would make everybody susceptible to any attacks because they can't. How you gonna beat a demigod? Being a mere mortal, being a person, you can't. You know what I mean? You can't. So what they'll do is they'll rather take sperm, they'll rather take eggs, they'll rather have a monopoly on soulmates. And if they don't have a monopoly on the soulmates themselves, at least have a monopoly on the essence of the soulmates. The eggs from the woman, the sperm from the man. And this way they can artificially inseminate, you know, demigods or purple people with extraordinary abilities in whatever facilities that they have around the world. To be honest with you, I think that that's what Area 51 is all about. Area 51, we're thinking about aliens and things of this nature. Area 51 may be a place where they're having children born with unnatural abilities, with godlike abilities. You know what I mean? They're having children born of the sperm and the egg of soulmates. And that's why Area 51, if you look it up, they asked for more room. I think it was in Obama administration. They only admitted that they were in existence because they needed more land. Why would they need more land? Because they need more room. Because more people are being born there. More of your children are being born there of soulmates, sperm, and eggs. You know, that's what it's about. You know, that's why we can't demonize something. Because the very things that we demonize are the same things that's the very part of us. You know what I mean? It's, you know, that Baphomet symbol. If you notice the hooves, the legs, they look feminine. They look like smooth as, even though it's hooves at the bottom, right? But what do women wear on their feet? Women wear heels and put their foot up like that, right? A hoof, and then the legs are smooth as hell. That's a feminine. That's the feminine side of what we are. That's the feminine side of that Baphomet. One arm going up like this with the fingers like this, and then one going down on the side like that. I can't show it because my image keep going in and out. One arm says solve, and the other one says coagulate. And that symbol on his stomach going up like this, two serpents intertwining. On some pictures, they show two different color serpents. That shows you that they mixed soulmates. They took Adam's Lilith and gave her to Samael, and he took Eve's Samael and gave her to Adam. And Eve was indeed the Eve of Adam, the Eve of man. Once they switch soulmates, you'll never be complete. You'll never be complete without your soulmate. You'll never be complete without your other half. That means Adam died incomplete because they took his Lilith and they gave him Eve. You know what I mean? It's so much propaganda and so many things built up around this thing. I mean, you have people that'll pretend that they have this type of knowledge, right? I'm not pretending by any means necessary. I'm not pretending to have this knowledge. This is just me dissecting knowledge from different sources. I'm dissecting knowledge from different sources from all over the place, and I'm bringing that here to my podcast, God Concept Podcast, to let you all know what I perceive. You know, I'm gonna tell you this: I'm never wrong. Like I don't want to say that I'm never wrong, but I'm never wrong. Like the ratio, my right to wrong ratio is always like low. Like I'm always in the high right and I'm always in the low wrong. I got a certain perception about me that just allowed me to know things before I know 'em. Like even when certain things was going on in my own personal life, I was able to know, hey, you doing some foul shit. You know what I mean? When it came to me being a married man and things like that, I knew when my wife was stepping out on me or doing something wrong in my personal life. I knew in my personal life when somebody was trying to set me up or being disingenuous with me. It's just something that I always innately had. I had visions and things like that of different places, different things, and different times. I have visions of all types of stuff. That's a lot of times that's where that's how I dissect things. I'll sit down and I'll meditate on them. And while I'm meditating, I'll have different visions or sights of what's actually going on. This is what they call remote viewing, clairvoyance, having a high perception, um, inception, whatever you want to call it. You know, I just know that there's more to play than just this. Whatever they're protecting, whatever the whatever the Knights of the Templar is protecting and doing experiments on, is something that you're not preview to. Either because they don't feel like you're able to handle the information, or even they feel like they want to have a monopoly on you. That's the thing that I can't. That I'm trying to understand. Because if it's for the greater good, it's just because they don't want people to be mixing, people to be mixing with their soulmates, making demigods and things like that, and wiping out what they built, what they helped build, what the civilization that they built. Because if we wasn't in this form, if we had X-ray vision, if we was able to fly, if we was able to do things and regenerate and have infinite life, which we already have, we already are have infinite life. Your spirit never dies. But if you had people walking around on a daily basis who could shapeshift and who could teleport and things like this, it would cause mass hysteria. It would cause people to just, go all out. What's to stop a person from going teleporting into a bank and stealing everything out the bank and then just teleporting back home with all everything in the bank? What's to stop a person from not liking somebody and just destroying a whole neighborhood, a whole village or whatever of people because they have a slight disagreement or don't like the way they live it? I know that that's what they're protecting, but in their protection, they're also manipulating us as everyday citizens. What they do is they can infiltrate your life. They can infiltrate your life on a level where they could come in, they could send you your soulmate. They could send you your soulmate, right? Say the soulmate that you have is actually a Knight of the Templar, because Knights of the Templar aren't just men nowadays, right? Before it was a guild of men, right? Now it's men and women. I mean, back in the day, it probably was some women in there too, but it's men and women. What's to stop them from sending that woman Templar to you who happened to be a soulmate to seduce you to get your sperm from you, so that way she can go back to the base, have a child from her soulmate that you don't know about, and then they'll militarize the child that they have. They'll militarize that child. That's what they do. That's what I believe is done. I believe that they did that to my Uncle Freddie too. Because I know that he had a soulmate, right? I know who his soulmate is. I'm tired of saying people's names on here because I done got all the evidence. I done put it out there before, even on this podcast. I put it out there before. So if you want to know all this information into my personal life, into my personal accounts of this stuff, go through the God's Concept podcast and look for that. But my Uncle Freddie, he had a soulmate, a woman. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and say this. His soulmate is the mother of my soulmate, who actually caused a whole bunch of shit to go haywire in my life. But that's neither here nor there. They have a child. This man, because he is a man now, he's in the military. He's a military guy. Maybe he's out of the military, maybe not. But I know he's out there. I don't know what he's capable of, and I don't know the things that he did in his life because I never met him at all. But I've seen pictures of him. And he looks remarkably, like inexplicably like my uncle. He looks just like him. He looks like me, basically. He looks like me. He looks like my uncle. He looks a little different than me, but he's basically that. And you could tell. And you like, this is eerie. Like, this is weird. I know this guy is related to me. That's what you call a connection, when you can see a picture of a person and you just know that this person is related to you, especially by who their mother is. Whether they tell you or not who the father is. Because that's what they'll do. They'll attribute, a lot of women do it nowadays, they'll attribute your child to another man. They'll attribute your child to another man. And that's what she did. She said, oh no, his father is somebody, because I asked. I said, hey, is that my Uncle Fred's son? He looked just like my Uncle Fred. Like, if my Uncle Fred had hair, because he was bald when he passed away. He was bald. So he was bald most of his life. I mean, yeah, once he got to a certain age, he was just bald. So it's like, that's all I remember is bald, unless I look at one of his old pictures in the 80s and 70s, and he had a big ass fro. But I asked her, I was like, yo, is that my Uncle Fred? And no, that's somebody else. Son, that's my son. Because she always would say, you look just like my son. I forgot the guy's name. It's funny, I forgot his name. But she always be like, you look just like my son. You remind me so much of my son and things like that. Whenever we have encounters or whenever we interact, whenever we were near each other, she would always say, ha ha ha, you look just like my son or whatever. And I'm like, I asked to see pictures of him. And I'm like, damn, me and this dude do kind of favor each other. Like, is that my Uncle Freddie's son or whatever? And she would always say no. But I knew deep in my heart, within my own mind and my perception and my soul, I knew, like, no, that's my Uncle Fred's son. See, what they'll do is they'll handle your family. They'll have people that act like crackheads, drug addicts, streetwalkers, whomever, regular fucking people, right? Because Templars, Masons, Eastern Stars, they come in all shapes, sizes, all shapes, forms, and sizes. They come. They're in all walks of life, right? You can find a homeless person and they may be a Mason. You know what I mean? You might see a girl stripping at the strip club and she might be an Eastern Star. That's the way it is. You know what I mean? So they'll send these people into your life to handle you. You know what I mean? And that's what I believe she was. She was a handler of my family, or one of the handlers of my family. You know what I mean? Who I'm talking about. And she had a child with my uncle. And then, out of nowhere, she said she had a daughter. Like, what? You have a daughter? And I was, taken by the daughter. And that's what let me know, because I never felt this feeling about another woman. Never felt this feeling about another woman. It was something like when we got closer, and things like that, it was just, I knew that this woman was like some special part of me or whatever. And for some reason, it's like, I knew what it was. That was my fucking soulmate. That was the woman that, you know what I mean, whatever. Our energy was created. Our soul was created simultaneously or whatever. And that don't mean you got to have the same birth date and all that bullshit neither. It don't work like that. I'm still doing research on that type of stuff, but it don't work like that. But that's what they do. You know what I mean? And she didn't let me know that she had a daughter until after she transgressed against me. Well, not against me, but I looked out for her in a way. I looked out for her. She said she was down on her luck. You know what I mean? We had intercourse one time. We had coitus one time. And I'm being polite. We had coitus one time. And, you know, after that, she introduced me to her daughter. And then that's when they played a whole game with me. They played a whole charade game with me and everything to perform whatever ritual or to get whatever they had to get from me on that level. You know what I mean? Even went down to making it look like it was just about setting me up and all this and that. Had my family involved. That's why I don't trust nobody. That's why I don't trust nobody. Because of things that happened to me, for me to start looking into this type of stuff. Things that happened in my life, my personal accounts of people, places, and things led me to doing this type of research. That's why I don't understand why nobody else understands how important getting this information out there to the masses, to you, to the viewer. They don't know how important getting this information out there is to me. It's something that I have to do. It's my truth. It's my journey that I was made to walk. You know what I mean? It's these things I'm not running across by mere coincidence. I'm not just compiling a bunch of bullshit information. I'm not just having a bunch of fucked up, crazy thoughts, delusions of grandeur, or whatever it is. I'm having these thoughts because I'm tied to them. They're tied to me. They led me to going down this rabbit hole the minute they interfered with my life in such a way. So now this is what I'm doing. I'm on this crusade. And that's funny because the Knights of the Templar is called the Crusaders and shit. But it's like I'm not just bullshitting or just fabricating anything. These are my accounts and what I've been through in my life. Like, if you want to hear all about that type of stuff, and at times I joke and I kid about things like that in my early episodes of the podcast, because I'm not gonna lie, you know, I like to smoke weed and things like that. Right now, I'm not smoking no weed. I'm clear minded. But the whole thing is, you know, I like to make light of whatever situation I'm in life. Whatever situation I am in life, I'm very agnostic and I'm very stoic, right? I have the same morals and principles as these Templars, except I'm not a Templar. Not that I know of anyway. You know, and I'll just watch and I'll observe and I'll see things happening and how it's going and how it's playing out, you know, so I could build the understanding, so that I could gain more knowledge. Because a lot of times we let our actions dictate the knowledge that we're going to get, the insight that we're going to get from a situation, from another person, from a place, from whatever it is that we're dealing with. In fact, I found out recently that what I like to say when I first started the podcast, and I still say it to this day, that we are a duality. You know, more than a duality, the holy trinity of us is our mental, our spiritual, and our physical. I just recently found out that that's the Army slogan too. Go Army, they believe in the same thing. Go Army believe in the same thing about that physical, mental, and spiritual. They believe the same exact thing. So a lot of the beliefs that I have, a lot of the things that, a lot of my personality and things is really that of a military minded type of person. You know, that of, I even wrote a book, Nature's Features. Go check the book out. It's on Amazon, right? Now listen, I put things in that book that was from the CIA documents that I never read. I never ran across these documents and read these documents and just recorded these things. But I compiled this book and I put this book together based on things I believe naturally, innately. Like, these things were evident to me naturally. And I put together a book, and then I look at documents on the CIA website that coincide with the things that I believe. How is that possible? It's because all of us are connected. Even the ones that's looking over us, that's watching us, you know what I mean? Or whatever like that. We're all connected. We all got that spiritual connection. You only get one soulmate though. You only get one soulmate. All this rhetoric about twin flames and stuff like that. A twin flame is just the opposite of your soulmate who's trying to take your soulmate because that's what they're led to do. Opposites attract. We all know that. We all know that if I got butter pecan and you just got vanilla, you're going to want my butter pecan. That's the way it is. That's why back in the day, they would have mass killings of men. I believe they had mass killings of women as well, just so they could balance, not balance out the population, but to have the population out of balance. This way, they can get away with having multiple wives, that they could have, you know what I mean, people experience different people's soulmates. It's greed. It's greed and corruption. Because why wouldn't you just let a soulmate be with a soulmate, right? Why wouldn't you let two people that's supposed to be together, who's supposed to walk life together and make their lives better and have these beautiful children that are capable of doing anything with their life? Why else wouldn't you let them two people procreate? It's because you want to control them. You not only want to control them, you want a monopoly on that type of energy. You want a monopoly on their soul. You want a monopoly on the on the children that would be born of such a union, right? So what you do is you have one of them in your organization, and the other one you treat them like a pauper, a poor person. That way, when these two meet, it's easy that the one in the organization could infiltrate them. They infiltrate them, get the seed or the sperm or whatever, bring it back to you, so that way you can have the child, and the child could be raised by whatever organization is in charge of raising them children. I'm not going to sit up here and lie like the Templars are raising these kids. They're just the finances. They just the beneficiaries of all this. Actually, the Templars are really just spiritual warriors. They like to do research on a lot of different things. They wanna do research on everything. They want to know all the secrets, every spiritual secret, all the knowledge of the Anunnakis and things like that. These Templars are in possession of. You know, I've seen one video where they said that they wanted to roll this type of information out to the world, that they really want the world to have this type of information. But if that was true and they've been in order, they've been in order for before Jesus, you know, was murdered, right? If they've been around before Jesus was murdered and things like that, and they have all this knowledge and wisdom, why hasn't they? Why haven't? Why everybody doesn't know all this stuff already? Why is everybody still second guessing and wondering about what's going on with, you know, certain orders? Why am I second guessing what's going on with Masons and Eastern Stars and Knights Templars? Why do we have secret organizations? It's because they still have a lot to hide. Maybe what they have to hide is not for them. Maybe what they have to hide is not of this world. If we're talking Anunnaki, it's definitely not of this world. That cross symbol. There was a symbol. There was a shining when, because Naruba, I always fuck up the name. I always mess up the name of the planet the Anunnaki is from. But the name Narubu, I forget. Damn. But that name, it means the closer, like the closer, like closer. You know what I mean? So when it's close, to Earth, there was a shining. You could see a shining star. It looked like a star that made a form of a cross. This is why their symbol is the cross, a red cross, because as the Anunnaki planet flew past Earth, the closer it got, the more brighter and intense the cross got. That was the light coming from the planet into the atmosphere. That was the symbol you seen. You seen the sphere of the planet, right? And you seen the bright light going in the shape of a cross. You know, it's a deep concept. It's a very, very deep thing. It's something that I'm gonna start getting more passionate about. It's something that I'm gonna start doing more research into, so that way I could put everything together and really give you my thoughts on that. Plain out simple. I want to give y'all my thoughts on that because you have a lot of people who give you information that's half-assed. They give you a lot of information that's just propaganda. They give you information because either, oh, another thing about the soulmate situation too. If you watch this show on Netflix called Russian Doll, right? You'll notice it's a man and a woman. And each time one of them dies in their life, they always come back and they're in this bathroom or whatever. And they both, like one of them pass, both of them pass. So that's how the life thing exchanges. It's not like, it's a weird thing. Just watch Russian Doll. You'll understand what I'm talking about. It's on Netflix. It's a great show. It's called Russian Doll. And basically what it is about two soulmates. They from two different walks of life. They killed themselves in two different ways before. And now they trying to figure this thing out. They moving along and they trying to figure everything out. That's how I felt like for a while, man. I felt like I was in a real life episode of Russian Doll. I still feel like that a lot of times. I feel like I'm in a real life episode of Russian Doll. Down to the point where I'm having recollections in my dreams of certain things. I'm in different places in my dreams. You know what I mean? I'm doing different things in my dreams. Like I'm going to a different dimension or something like that. Or like I'm living me like it's my life, but I'm living my life in a different dimension, in a different realm, in a different reality than this one. You know what I mean? And it's deep. You know what I mean? It's deep. It's a whole lot. I mean, I'm going down this rabbit hole like this. I explained to you earlier, but another thing was that if all of this is planned and if all of this was a big, like, I don't know. I don't know what was it, but if all of this was an agenda of some organization, some company, some, like, why have the things that happened in my life happen the way that they happen? You know what I mean? Because honestly, I probably wouldn't be going down this rabbit hole had my life took a different direction. Had my life took a different course, I wouldn't be going down this rabbit hole right now. To be honest with you, I wouldn't give a fuck. Had my life been on an incline instead of a decline. I mean, right now my life is on an incline, and I'm always going to visualize it that way because I'm working so fucking hard at what I do to have my life go on an incline. Even though my personal situation as of this moment seem like it's on a just not on a decline, but it's just coasting. It's coasting till it goes up, like stocks. Like stocks rise. That's how my life has got to rise. That's how my life is going to rise, like stocks going up. I recently put it out there that my podcast is now on Audible. My podcast is on Audible. I'm trying to funnel traffic to Audible. I'm trying to funnel traffic to my podcast. I'm trying to funnel traffic to my music. I'm trying to funnel traffic to my books, to YouTube to check out anything that I post. You know what I mean? Because all the eyes, all the views, all the clicks, all the likes, all the love that I receive is going to further propel me and help me motivate and keep me motivated to doing what I got to do. I'm going to do what I got to do nonetheless. But at the same time, I can't go back to living life the way I used to live. So now I got to be focused and stay determined to building what I'm building now. It's like once you're going down that rabbit hole, you going too far, you look back, you don't even see the old you no more. You don't see the old situation. You don't see the old situation no more. Once you go so far down the rabbit hole, all you see is tunnel. You look back, all you see is tunnel. You look forward, you can see a little light in the distance. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for that little light in the distance because I see the light. I see the light in the distance, and it's not that far away. It's not that far away from me at all. You know what I mean? I'm trying to get to that light because on the other side of that light is prosperity for me. It's prosperity for my family. It's prosperity for my children. It's prosperity for my works. You know what I mean? It's prosperity in all endeavors. You know what I mean? And that's the type of encouragement that I want to give all of you. Anybody watching this, just be encouraged to live your life, man. Be encouraged to walk your path. It may seem scary at times because you don't know what you're dealing with. I don't know. I still don't know exactly what I'm dealing with. You know what I mean? I do. I got a feeling, I got gut instincts, and I got ideas, and I got intuition that let me know what I'm dealing with. So I'm touching on these topics because these are the things that I'm dealing with, right? But to a lot of you, you might not have a clear, concise thought or feeling or emotion about what exactly you're dealing with or going through. But you still have to have the courage to do the things that you have to do in your life. You still got to have the courage to do, to walk your path, man, live your life. You know what I mean? And not get caught up in drugs or hurting yourself or hurting others and things like that. You got a story to tell. Man, I've been telling people for so long that if you're a liver of life, if you live life, if you wake up and go to sleep every day, you have a book to write. You got a story to tell. Whether you tell that story on a podcast, whether you write a book, whether you put that story in a song, however you do it, whether you make a movie about that story of your life, if you a person and you live in life, period, you have a story to tell. A more religious person would call it a testimony. Sometimes I do call it a testimony, but I'm not religious. You know what I mean? But yeah, your testimony, you have that testimony to tell. You know what I mean? Much respect to all the religions out there. I do want to say that. Much respect to all the religions out there. If you're a religious believer, I don't disrespect your religion at all. If your religion makes you a better person at the end of the day, you keep believing in what you believe in. You keep walking in that faith of whatever it is you believe in. You know what I mean? If it makes you a better person. If your religion don't make you a better person, on the other hand, what are you believing in it for? I mean, there you go. What are you believing in it for? If it don't make you a better person, if it don't give you any enlightenment, if it's just regurgitating the same information over and over and over and over, it's like, what are you there for? What are you there for? It's like playing the same game. It's like Grand Theft Auto, right? People still playing Grand Theft Auto. What's the latest one? I don't know, but they about to come out with Grand Theft Auto 6 or some shit like that, or 7, right? Why would I still be playing Grand Theft Auto 5? It's like, unless I'm monetizing it, unless I'm sitting up there making game streams of it and people's watching and people liking my gameplay, what am I still playing this old ass game for? That's the way it is with some people's religions. I mean, with all due respect, you keep believing in a religion that's not teaching you anything new. This is why you can't have personal growth in your life. A lot of you out there that believe in religion notice that you don't have personal growth in your life. But your religion keeps you strong in certain ways, or your religion keep you faithful in certain ways. But if your religion is just not teaching you nothing new, then maybe you should start thinking out the box. Maybe you should start thinking about spirituality and who you are and how you could better your life. And what information is your spirit drawing you to? You know what I mean? Because your spirit is always drawing you to some information. There's always some question that you want to get answered. There's always some question that you asking deep within yourself. But because of your religious point of views, you scared to ask the question. You scared to look at another religious book, or you scared to look at text that's not so religious or whatever. Because you trying to maintain your connection with that God of that religion. But what I'm breaking down to you here is the only gods are the ones that man has made up. Man has appointed gods in your life. The different religions are all different sets of this God that man made up. You just got to be strong enough to get past that, see through it, and recognize it. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's been my time. I'm gonna go out playing my song Concept. It's been my time. I'm glad you all joined me for this episode of God Concept. You know, I'll be back with more information soon. Oh. And thanks for watching too. Thanks for listening. Thanks for staying tuned in. You know what I mean? Just like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment. Whether it's good or bad, leave a comment. Whether it's negative or positive, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know what's going on, because you know, you might have an idea for a new episode that I need to do. Something that I said might have made you want to think about something new, or make me you know, do a different episode about something different, a new topic. Please send me the comment. Let me know if there's a new topic you want me to discuss, something you want me to research, or anything like that. Just let me know. You know what I mean? I've been your host, Mark Pagan, Mr. Pagan, and this has been God Concept. Peace.